morning, everyone. Whoa, little cobbling voice there, but luckily I have Blaine Bartlett here, my mentor, to carry me as usual. He got my memo. We got the good guy, bad guy caps on this morning and hiding our beautiful coifs of illustrious hair. And Blaine, welcome and thank you for carrying me throughout the years as we're getting to episode 500. It's getting exciting.
Yeah, I am thrilled. I can't believe we've been doing this long. That's a lot of shows.
It's a lot of shows, but we have great guests as well to improve our experience here at Office Hours. And speaking of experiences, I finally have a guest that I can remember his name, Chris Johnson. Welcome to Office Hours, CEO of LaneTerralever and Experience Dynamic. Welcome to Office Hours, Chris.
Thank you, David. Honored to be here.
Very often, Blaine and I discuss one of the easiest and fastest ways to productivity in business, and it's engagement. And there's several well-known iconic brands in the world who understand how to get people engaged in their business, where customers get more customers. It's always been the least expensive way to build a business, a community, and to derive revenue quantitatively from that. And it's always around the experience, not actually the product. And you are the expert in the experience dynamics and have recently completed a study about customer experience. And so I wanted to start with the basics of, how important is it to understand the customer's experience, not just the quality and value of the product?
Yeah, I mean, the reason that we did the study is that we think that's really going to be the only way to compete as we move forward. I mean, as you're seeing technology advance so quickly and you're seeing products evolve so quickly, creating a great product doesn't give you a 5-year advantage anymore. It might give you a 2-month advantage. If you've been following what's happening with generative AI over the last 3 or 4 months, it's moving even faster. So you having a great experience is going to be the difference between getting that great word of mouth referral or not. In fact, in that study, we saw that of all Americans, 74% of Americans said that a great digital experience is what would drive word of mouth referrals from them.
Yeah, I'm so fascinated. We were doing a little chat right before the show started here about what are the kids saying? The millennials, the Gen Xers, the Gen Zs, because this is the market, and the shrinking of time in terms of product entry. Got a better product here. Let's see what happens. I don't have that 5-month window, 5-year window, let alone a 2-week window anymore. The distinction between being better and being different. To me, I would think that being different lends itself more towards working with experience than actually being better does. Would that be a fair assessment?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that being better and different is the goal of every brand. Okay. I think being different in terms of that experience is incredibly important. And the best way to do that is actually through human interaction. Right. That's the hardest thing to do as a company, is to have values and say who you are as a brand, and then actually throughout that organization, from leadership all the way through frontline customer service, for those people to behave and act in a way that's aligned with that brand, that Gen Z in particular and millennials see as being authentic. That is how I see competitive advantage really playing out. We saw that in Gen Z. For them, the most important thing in a customer experience is friendliness. And we wrapped our head around that. Every other generation, when they're looking at those interactions, a lot of it was more functional. Was I able to purchase something quickly? Was my issue resolved quickly? Gen Z was, how did I feel at the end of this interaction? Were the people friendly to me? And that's what's bringing them back. And so it was fascinating looking at that in this study. And it's going to be a shift as we look towards how our experiences need to change over time. It's going to have to be a shift for brands to really understand that human interaction piece cannot be replaced by AI. It can certainly be aided and bolstered by these technologies. But at the end of the day, getting an organization to align around that brand's values is what's going to be key.
And beyond value, there's a competition for feelings that I find very interesting, is that there's so much stimuli wherever we go. You can flip on your phone and flip, in what used to take months, years even for people Blaine and my age, in minutes, you can have all these different feelings, right? You're getting the innuendo of a movie in 20 seconds, and then you go to the next climax of a movie, and then you go to the next comedy and the next sad thing and the next, and there's so much feeling. There's a competition for feeling, and yet one of the aspects is the difference between the digital feeling and a personal experience. What did you find in the study that shows you the difference between customer service via a chat or via a telephone versus even customer service in a retail location today? How are those feelings or intensity of feelings different?
Yeah, we didn't study particular feelings or that engagement. We looked at, I think probably the closest thing we have in that study is when we looked at channel preference for interaction. And surprisingly, we saw that that Gen Z, along with the rest of our generations, all the way through boomers, still like a phone call, right? They still like talking to somebody, which was surprising to us. I think millennials were the most online in terms of how they want to be interacting in online chats or texting. But as we went, even Gen Z, I think it was about 47% would still be okay with a phone call in that interaction. And Gen Z is definitely trending even more so than the rest of the generations in terms of social media, which does open that ability for engagement and feelings a lot more than it would in a text message or an online chat.
The phone certainly lends itself to an immediate synchronous communication process. In the leadership work I do, one of the things that I will actually that I will literally always focus the clients that I'm working with on is, how do people feel about themselves when they're in your presence? Sure. And then we kind of expand that out and go, okay, let's take your product and your service. How do people feel about themselves when they're in the presence of your product or service? And if you're feeling good, you're probably going to stick around. So from a brand perspective and from a media presence perspective, take the phone call out of it. How do you actually work with your clients? And you've got a pretty stellar list of clients that have kind of come on board and said, me, show us how to do this. Right. How do you actually get them to design for that experience with that notion of, how do I feel about me when I'm in the presence of this product or service? Yeah. How does that come into the conversation as they're designing both the product, but also the delivery and then the social media behind it and the marketing behind it?
Yeah, I mean, it starts with what do you stand for as a brand, right? Who are you, and what makes that unique, and why would people connect with that? And if you really understand that and you're authentic to that as a leader, which I know is incredibly important. If you're authentic about that, and then you have the ability to roll that through your organization in a way that everyone in that organization is engaged and proud of being a part of that, that's what the end result is, that all those in-person interactions, they get there. Then from a marketing and advertising perspective, it's really about, how are you bringing that to life, and how am I bringing those emotions forward and connecting with the people that I should be connecting with. And a part of that is not every brand is for every person, right? Yeah. That if you're going to be authentic and you're going to stand for something, and you have values that stand for something, you're not going to be able to connect with everybody, but you are going to focus on a very specific audience, and that should do the job of connecting if you're able to execute that across the advertising of what it is you're doing.
And in the interaction with customer service, it can be a complete time drain. And I'm not sure the study covered this, but your expertise for over 25 years in dealing in strategic digital marketing and guiding so many big companies. What are some of the aspects that you have found? I know myself as pursuing my potential as a leader, find that time is more important when you get alignment than anything else, because as you teach values, for example, at our company, gratitude and forgiveness and accountability and effective communication, it can be misinterpreted to reconcile with, hey, we're running a business. So if you're trying to provide that good feeling and kindness and all the things people are looking for to feel good, you also have to run a business. And so you can't spend 2 hours on the phone with one client. How have you found the best mechanisms to reconcile time with this great understanding of how important it is for the customer's experience?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to have a lot of avenues for how people want to be getting customer service. So technology has created a lot of ways for customers to help themselves, right? And that can be the most efficient way to get that resolution. But you can't give up on that in-person interaction if what you want to be delivering is amazing experience. What we did find in our study, which was interesting, was that 44% of all Americans would pay at least 10% more for a product or service if they could get immediate service. We found that to be really interesting, and we actually then looked at that in terms of high income households versus normal households, and there was very little difference from even the high income to everybody else of how much they'd be willing to pay, which tells you that yes, time is super important to people. And if they could get immediate service, and that's not necessarily just digital online service, it could be if I just have the ability to get somebody on the phone and not be on hold for 45 minutes, like a lot of our airlines do to us these days, then yeah, I would pay more for it. And it's looking like a universal truth across all Americans, and I think it's a significant opportunity for brands to look at ways to increase margins. You're talking about we are all running a business. Well, if we could add 10% to the top line and maybe adding 5% in terms of just taking a little bit more time and care and staffing our call centers right and our service centers right, it could be a significant opportunity to increase the bottom line and deliver great service and get long-term sustainable competitive advantage through great CX.
Chris, I just have a curiosity question.
Sure.
I know American Airlines is one of the few huge companies, global corporations, that has a callback feature when they have a long wait that says, hey, if you'd like us to call you back in 45 minutes or 2 hours and 62 minutes, whatever it is. And I find that as amazing. Like, I just find that feature, and it's not used very many places. Is there anything in your experience that tells you what people, am I an anomaly or in the mass that I'd rather just be called back than wait on hold?
I mean, I think it's a great crutch. It'd be better if you didn't have to wait 45 minutes to begin with. And it's certainly better than sitting on hold and listening to hold music for 45 minutes. I think even in American Airlines, I don't think they tell you when they're going to call you back. They just say when you're up, we're going to call you back. I know you're busy, I'm busy. What happens when they call back and it's 45 minutes later and I'm on another phone call or in a Zoom meeting and I'm not available? Now I'm back. I don't answer the phone. Now I'm back at the end of the line. I have to do that. I mean, the right answer is, hey, could I just get a hold of somebody and talk to you about the issue I'm having because this is urgent to me, and not be on hold at all.
But it's fair to say, like in the airline industry, that they can't afford to have that many people when weather goes bad and all of a sudden they have an insurmountable amount of calls. But anyway, Blaine, you got a quick last question for us and bring the plane home?
so to speak. In your business, and I'm just going to get real, up close and personal here. How do you actually address what you do with this notion of experience in mind? Because as you look at a service provider that you are, it's B2B. The company doesn't have, the client doesn't have a feeling. So the company doesn't have an experience. How have you actually managed to crack the code on that? Because you've done a pretty good job of it based on results.
Do you mean with our clients or in terms of how we interact with our clients?
Both.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's
you know,
just take how you interact with your clients.
how we interact with our clients. So as a leader, I put a priority on ensuring that that we have people who are interacting with our clients that know the industry that they're in and know our clients very well. And then we've done a ton of investment inside of our companies to put the process in place to make sure that we can always deliver on time and on budget for our clients and achieve the result that we say we can achieve. You know, in the professional services business, when a client hires us, they're putting their job on the line, right? We're taking over their marketing. We're taking over how they're handling service. If that doesn't go well, we don't deliver on our promises. It costs them their livelihood. So we take that very, very seriously, and we want to understand their goals as a company, their goals as a person in their career, and we make sure that we can actually deliver and support that. And that's, if I were to say that was going to our secret sauce over the years, that's been it.
And it absolutely has worked over the years in understanding, as Michelangelo said, it's not what we say, it's how they feel, and they'll always remember how they feel. So I love the business and the trajectory as we try to improve engagement at an all-time low worldwide. Ridiculous percentage of people are not engaged in a business, and if your employees aren't engaged in the business, I promise you your customers won't be either. Chris Johnson, CEO of LaneTerralever and Experience Dynamic, experiencedynamic.com. Come back and join us again, Chris. We want to delve into your insight and experience as well. We appreciate you getting up early. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care.
Thanks, Chris.
Great interview. Great job. All right. Next up is one of my faves. And
you got a good friend coming on here.
Exactly, man. Chris keeps getting better and better. So Saul Beltran is here, groundedmen.com, and he's putting on one of the, I will tell you, I do a lot of these, Blaine, and so do you. This guy has attracted the biggest and the best, and I'm not just self-promoting because I'm part of it, but when you can get Tom Bilyeu and Joe Dispenza and Marshall Falk to ground men in an experience, a transformational experience, April 27th coming up next week to April 29th. Just an incredible opportunity for so many people. Welcome, Saul Beltran.
Thank you so much, man. It's always a pleasure to see you, man. I'm excited to see you, and Blaine, great to meet you, man.
You as well, buddy.
We gotta get Blaine involved. He will bring. He has so much experience of this, but I'm going to start at a different place, Saul, because it's very rare at one of these. Like Joe Dispenza or Tom Bilyeu or myself or Marshall Falk, right? They can run it just by themselves, and they'll fill thousands of people for days. And how are you able to attract, or why do you think you were able to attract people like myself and Tom and Marshall and Joe Dispenza, just to name a few, by the way, at the Grounded Men Retreat that we're doing? Why is it that you were able to do it when other people are calling me all the time asking me if they could do that?
It's interesting you say that, man, because I get asked that a lot when I start to share my story, and it's really just believing that you could do it. Look, I've always seeked out the best coaches in life of things that I wanted to accomplish, and I literally just went, hey, man, I made a decision. I really want to improve this part of my life. I'm going to find the best coach possible, and it's funny as it sounds, I jumped online, went on social media, just started connecting with them a little bit online. And then little did I know that I had a connection to a connection to a connection, right? And that one connection led me to one first coach that I started working with led me to the next one. But I also feel like it's being in the right place. It's something told me in a certain area that I was actually training at a gym, and I was like, I'm just going to check this out. And I went in there, and little did I know that I was connecting to some of these guys that were already there. I had no idea they were some of my neighbors down the street from me. But I really started to realize that, sometimes being in the right place at the right time and having the right mindset and the right people around you, you can find those kind of connections, those kind of coaches, those kind of relationships. So for me, man, I just feel super blessed because I was able to really just connect with one coach that led me to the next one and the next one. Because I feel like we all are connected somehow, right? But I think the biggest thing that I found here, man, is purpose. I just started sharing my story, and it wasn't like I was chasing them to, trying to get them to attend. It was really more like passionate about what I'm doing. And they saw it and they're like, hey, man, that sounds really cool. Tell me more. And once we started talking about it, it just became a conversation. And it was like, how can I get involved, or what can I do to support you?
I love that. And I'm asked that all the time. How do I do this? And you got to start with the belief that that's something that you want to have. Desire is the catalyst. And then when you start leveraging that desire, things start magically showing up. You can't plan a lot of the stuff that ends up occurring. If you tried to lay out the plan that you actually followed, Steve Jobs, you can't connect the dots going forward. Only, looking backward, can you figure out how everything came together? With, and you've got a pretty broad, interesting career spectrum here. Yeah, all the way from the work you're doing at LinkedIn to running something like this, the Grounded Man. What I guess the question I want to have is what for you? What's the purpose that catalyzed all of this for you? Because you just ended your little introduction there with saying it was the purpose that got people excited with me about where we're going. Can you articulate that purpose specifically?
Yeah. So Zoom Video is a company that I'd work for, and I realized, accomplishing a lot of things in life, you always got to have a purpose, right? And sometimes when you run out of one thing, or you get kind of burned out, you accomplish, like, you always want to know what is next. And for me, it was like, what is next? I got to a point where I was a little burned out. The purpose kind of changed for me. And I really it wasn't firing me up anymore. And I was actually going through a relationship breakup, and I thought, okay, I need to change this. And my first thought was, I always would get a coach to help me through these blind spots and identify, like, what am I missing on? And so honestly, I just started doing work on myself, but then I started sharing my story with other men. And when the purpose showed up, when I realized the Me Too moment with other guys were like sharing my story with them, and kind of the stuff that I was going through with career changes, and, kind of a little bit of like what's next in life, and the instability of the stress inside of I don't want to lose it all. Like, I've accomplished things in life, but what else can I do? That I realized, just sharing it with other men, they felt the same way too. And I go, you know what? My purpose was immediately discovered, because I realized that so many guys were going through the same thing, and that I wasn't alone anymore. And I was like, I want to change that. I want to help them. And so I realized, going through retreats, that there were some components there, but not all of them. So for me to get grounded and find myself back to that purpose, I realized that if I offered this platform to other men, I'd be serving, other people and doing something good. So the purpose was really born from just going through my own stuff and talking about it, realizing there's so many men out there that are going through these kind of things of job stresses, financially, maybe they want to grow into something else, but they want to figure out what's next and how to hold on to it. Right. Maybe their relationships are struggling a little bit because they've ignored it. Like, there were just so many things that I shared that guys were just, hey man, me too. Tell me more about it. Or who's your coach? Who you working with?
And thank you. And I apologize. I said LinkedIn. I meant Zoom.
It's okay.
Yeah, Zoom won't lose any business from that, I'm sure. But yeah, I love to say the thoughts about our purpose are our purpose. And we were just talking with Chris Johnson of experiential value. And you don't just provide education or instruction from the world's thought leaders. You actually provide an experience. And when you talk about the retreat, one of the things that excited me or attracted me to it wasn't necessarily just the instruction from, the Tom Bilyeu's or myself or Marshall or Joe Dispenza even. It was how you enthusiastically described the experiences, especially like the horse back riding. And I was hoping that you could tell me from reflection from previous retreats how important the experience is beyond the instruction.
Look, at the end of the day, I feel like men need to feel like men. In the office where we are right now, we're not going to feel that, right? We got to get out of the office and feel like men. And you got to challenge yourself. And so what I've learned through, all these retreats are great out there, I think, but the starting point is for guys to open up and bond and really share and be vulnerable. They have to figure out, you have to do something that makes them feel like men. So we all love to work out, right? That makes us feel great about ourselves. So we do the workouts, with some of the best coaches out there. We do the newest stuff they're doing, the biohacking, the ice bath, the red light therapy, the IV drips, the peptides, just to make you feel more youthful. But once we get into those things, I realized that guys really start to get grounded. They really start to connect. They really start to share. It's kind of like when you played football on a team, right? The guys, after a while, just kind of get used to each other. They start joking around, sharing stories. They really do open up. And I realized that with this retreat, I had to do something a little bit different and things that made guys feel like men, but still be able to bond. And, I always say this, the secret sauce is once I have that accomplished, bringing in these experts for personal development and mindset, which is really where a lot of the struggle is for a lot of men that they want to open up to. This is by that point, the guys are excited. The guys are opened up. They're relaxed. They're going to share their stuff. It just takes one guy to start sharing a story, then the next. But at the end of the day, I'm like, hey, we've done all this work. We've opened up. Let's go do some cowboy shit. So I throw them on we go to the horse ranch and we start riding these horses. They teach them how to do this. But the one thing I've realized is, raising their confidence and doing something like challenging outdoorsy still makes them feel like men, but also something that they've never probably done before. So it's fun to do outdoorsy stuff. I love doing the cowboy shit. I'll tell you, the horses always teach me something about myself. It's a mirror to something that, is challenged in my life, but also that I'm good at, right? I always feel that these are kind of healing things for men to do, but it's also challenging. So that's the whole component of what the grounded men doing cowboy shit is. It really is just getting the guys to feel like men and be getting outdoors.
And so I just got to tell you, I heard you talk about that. And the reason I wanted to bring it up is I'm here in San Jose del Cabo, and we went horseback riding on the beach. And the guy that I went with, Rick Zeiler, is a well-known executive, extremely successful, has traveled the world and, done everything from being a professional golfer to starting Grey Goose and Jaeger and, doing music tours and around the biggest names. And oh my gosh, when we were riding horses, and he will tell you it's the greatest thing he's done. He was like a 5-year-old, exhilarated, scared. I was thinking of you the whole time when we were riding horses. I'm like, I think Saul was onto something, because it was an incredible bonding experience afterwards, hearing how excited he was, telling everybody at the pool about his Amigo was the name of his horse, and the race that we had. So it was a lot of fun. But go ahead, Blaine, you can land the plane once again.
Yeah, no, the idea, I just want to come back to, grounded men doing cowboy shit, and that implies horses. In the mastermind, one of the mastermind programs I run, we actually have a component where we bring, the group into an arena with horses, and the idea has to do with the way that we communicate, and the energy. And what I hear you talking about, what happens at the grounded men retreats, is that there is a conversational energy that actually gets generated that is not about talking. And this is really an interesting point for me, not talking about, the language shifts. It's the language shifts from language of doing to language of being. And it's in that migration to the language of being that magic can actually happen, not just around a campfire, but when you bring conversations of being into the organization, it starts to change the tone and tenor of the organization itself. And that links back into our previous guest with Chris talking about the experience. So what's the question I've got there? I just found myself on a soapbox.
Good lead in, I'll say that.
What we're doing here. How can people find out more about this retreat? I'll just kind of put it there and kind of hand it over to you.
Absolutely. So groundedmen.com is the website. They can apply with that link. There's an apply link from there, groundedmen.com. It's April 27th through 29th in Santa Barbara, California. We also, if not this one, we're also doing one end of July, early August as well. So there's also a sign-up sheet to that. But again, it's groundedmen.com. They can sign up there.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, my friend. I can't wait to see you on April 27th. It's going to be phenomenal. Super excited. It's amazing how things come together. Congratulations. And everyone, go ahead. There's a couple spots left, I assume, in the Grounded Men Retreat for April, but sign up for July or August. The wait list is there, groundedmen.com. Thanks again.
Pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me.
You got it.
Thanks,
Thank
all.
you. Awesome.
Cool stuff. Hey, you're going to have a ball. I'm glad
Yeah.
that you've been practicing on the horse.
Yeah, no, we're excited to be there. And we have our cleanup hitter here. Michael Crabtree's in the house, founder and principal at Profitblooom, with 3 O's, by the way, in case you're already going to profitbloom.com. Make sure my team is so diligent, making sure it's not a typo, but I figured it wasn't. The mobile mobility management for medium-sized companies and cybersecurity for small business. Welcome to Office Hours, Michael.
Hey, thank you, David. So nice to finally meet you.
It is my pleasure as well, and I know Blaine's excited. This area of understanding mobility management, there's so many different nuances, and now that there's AI, it gets to, I think, an incredible perspective of expense. And when I say that, when we're managing, let's take cybersecurity for example. There's so many variables. You can't protect against everything. You can't take advantage of everything. So I'm using cost or expense as a quantitative variable, so that if they can, with every dollar, only make $1.25 off of me, but they can make $1.50 off of someone else because I've put these management systems in place, I become less of a target because it's like your home. You can't protect yourself. It's even more phenomenally complex when it comes to medium and small sized businesses.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about the cost of containment and expense reduction. What are some of the facets? Because most small businesses, let alone mid-sized, don't really even understand the critical business issues involved in the mobility management things and the expense.
Well, if we're talking about cybersecurity for small businesses, you guys have read the reports. The big fellows, the big hacking people overseas, they kind of had their fill of, the larger corporations. They're going for the low-hanging fruit now, so to speak. And those are small businesses, even in my small town here in Newcastle, Indiana, much less Indianapolis. They're going for businesses that have 1 or 2 employees and getting into them. And all of these small businesses still have Norton, and that's it, or McAfee. And, that's original ground floor generation cybersecurity. The professionals out there that want to eat us alive, they're way beyond that, way beyond it. So that's something that I'm addressing in the smaller communities for small and medium-sized businesses. $7.99 a month per seat, all in, and it's enterprise level security / protection for the little guy. And they'll take as many as 10,000 seats or just one. And that's what makes it so appealing for the small business owner.
Yeah, that is a great price point. I mean, I'm surprised. Well done. And when you basically say soup to nuts, you come in, and I'm a small business. Yeah, we got 10 employees, so I don't have a whole lot of budget. I mean, I'm just kind of speaking as an archetype here. How do you work with me? And I don't necessarily even have a server system set up in every computer's cloud linked. Where we don't necessarily have a server in the office. And how would you work with us?
Well, it would all be remotely, of course, through one of my primary partners, vendors. First thing we do is, get on a 10 or 15 minute call and see what your immediate concerns are. Mm-hmm. But the product that I have in mind, it's one click. It installs literally in under 3 minutes. The fastest install we've had for a little company of 22 employees was just under 90 seconds. So that's something that we're proud of. Try to keep it as simple as possible.
Well, you talk about customer experience.
Right, exactly.
Don't, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
The difficulty is small businesses are just trying to guard one of four domains, mainly their email, and
Mhm.
good for them. You know, they should, but man, I'm thinking about all the endpoints now. Look at all the devices that are touching us and we're touching, you know, throughout our business day. All of those can be protected for $7.99 a month, all in.
Yeah, and I want to bring up a point in a different way too, is that, you know, especially as a small business or a mid-sized business, there's so many people that are low-hanging fruits that by having something like this, it's not worth the time. They'll move on to someone who does have the Nortons at best. And so, you know, as a prolific system, your system not only is affordable, but it's almost like hanging the ADT sign in your front door. You know, there's so many houses that don't have security systems that the people are like, you know what, why waste my time here? I'll go next door.
Exactly, Dave. Yeah.
So there is that broken window type of a philosophy behind protection. Is, you know, these hackers get in there and go, wait a second, this is going to take a little while, and we all know that people that are dishonest are the laziest people, and so we can go ahead and lean into that. What are some of the capabilities for $7.99 that you provide to the small and mid-sized businesses?
Uh, Capabilities. Again, you know, just focusing on one screen, and it's all in real time. So if someone sent an attachment to a coworker or someone across the world, and that was intercepted by someone with malicious intent, that will come up immediately in real time while they're talking to a client like we are now in the background. They don't have to wait until the end of the day anymore to go into Norton or McAfee and see, oh, did anything happen? You know, that's too late. So
Mhm.
my main vendor does it all in real time. I think that's a real separator.
Yeah. You know, so that's one side of your house is that is security, you know, the data protection, that sort of thing. The other side is cost reduction. You know, beginning to identify um, the overcharges and whatnot that oftentimes go unnoticed. Just for the edification of our listening audience here, what are some of those overcharges that that I don't even pay attention to? It's something that I wouldn't think of thinking about, but it's actually, gnawing at the bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
What would be some
Mm-hmm.
of the things that we could look at, and how would you actually, help me identify that? Because
Well,
that's a big deal.
that's where the bloom comes in, Blaine, that you did before.
I thought it might be.
And David's familiar with this concept. I think David's been involved in it before. Um, we look at we're up to about 92 spend areas. One area, Blaine, that many large companies just assume is working well is waste management. It's very easy to find money in waste management. Uh, we've seen some ridiculous stuff doing audits, and you know what? The waste management companies, you know what we found so far? If all of them have made an honest mistake, it's not as if they were charging them for 120 containers around the country. Right now, I'm helping in San Francisco a large contracting firm, an oversight firm, logistics firm, and it looks like they're looking at an overcharge of 36 containers in about 18 different states that they've never seen, never knew was on the invoice. Uh, we go back to the vendor, and they're humbly apologetic. So it's easy to just bring it out to them. It's okay. Let's recover the savings and go forward. Waste management for anyone 30 million annual earnings year to year. I'd say that's the biggest category. Another one is utilities, of course. Telecom. Something else that you might not think of is for institutions, especially in healthcare, uniforms and the laundry service performed. That the outside service, very sloppy as well, almost as bad as waste management.
I've experienced as well insurance as a category as well. Insurance is another audible vertical for cost reduction. Just to finish up, how long does it take to implement the Profitbloom solution?
It takes about 14 working days, David, and on average, across the board with all services.
Nice. That's really easy. People can go to profitbloom.com, Michael.
Yes, they can go to profitbloom.com.
That's with 3 O's.
3 O's. That's right, Blaine. Yeah.
3 O's.
Bloom. Yeah. We're going to make big results. Yeah. And, my own engineers will get on the call with us, just like we're on here now, and go over things that you particularly need, especially small business side for cybersecurity. It's intimidating. It's scary for them. And my engineers understand that. We'll walk them through it.
That's amazing. Michael Crabtree, founder and principal at Profitbloom with 3 O's, Profitbloom with 3 O's.com. Check it out. It's a ROI that you can't miss out on for $7.99 a month. As Blaine said, well done, Michael Crabtree. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks, David. Thanks, Blaine.
Thank you. Great to meet you, Michael.
Take care. All right, Blaine, 3 extraordinary guests, super fired up. And leading in, want to thank Gigi and Raluca. Gigi staying up late and Raluca's up early. So we got the whole world covered with our team today. And we are blessed to have those 2 wonderful producers here. More importantly, what's your takeaway of the day?
Experience. I'm gonna just, we started with Chris talking about the experience, and then with Saul, the idea of, and this was my language for, but conversations of being rather than doing, which is an experience. I mean, how do I feel about me when I'm in your presence or in the presence of your product or service? And then, just kind of closing off the day or the morning here with Michael, this idea of the feeling safe, not knowing where I'm at risk, but the experience of ease. $7.99. I feel like I hit the jackpot on that, and a 90-second install. I mean, you talk about eliminating the time barrier that causes frustration. When we're paying attention to experience, we design for different things. And if I'm designing for a pleasant experience, an uplifting experience, everything else will almost always fall in place. So I'm just going to kind of leave it with that. I mean, experience on a horse. Yeah. How do I sit? And you're always looking at, how do I sit?
Yeah.
So that's my takeaway.
Mine's directly related to that, which is the emotion of all 3 of our guests, the energy, emotion, the feelings. People forget the frequency and the feeling, and they look at the quantitative side of things. And it's so easy to overlook the way that you feel and not put that or explore how it would make others feel as well. And I think both explorations are critical into what we do to elevate our awareness, which then creates that emotional thriving of more energy, getting more energy. But we have to have the right emotions, the right feelings. And so start with yourself and see how it makes you feel, and then explore how it makes others feel. And you will have that exponentiality, the aggregation and acceleration internally in your business as well as externally. So the emotional takeaway is, let's look at how we feel and make others feel. It's that simple, which is why I do this every Thursday with you, because I feel amazing, and I hope you feel the same way every Thursday when I get to see you. So
That's
blessed.
what gets me out of bed in the morning.
I love it. Well, thank you. Send my love to everyone there in Ruby Island, and we'll see you next week, my friend. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Yeah, looking forward to seeing you next week.
Right on. Take care. All right, everyone. All the way from San Jose del Cabo, we have office hours. We're almost up to episode number 500 digitally. Obviously, we have hundreds of interviews on TV, on Apple TV. You can catch Blaine Bartlett, BlaineBartlett.com, and I on Apple TV. We are thriving by making people feel good. And the way that we do that is simply being kind, as you heard, being nice. You can reach out to me. We got Friday training tomorrow. We're over 23 years, about 23 and a half years of training, over 80,000 people registered, which is blowing my mind. You can email me if you're not registered. Every platform, david@dmeltzer.com, david@dmeltzer.com. I'll throw in a book. I'll sign it, send it to you, pay for shipping in the book. Not a problem. And everyone, please be more interested than interesting. Be happy, make a lot of money, help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun. We'll see you tomorrow, 6 a.m. Right, with Lucas, 6 a.m. training tomorrow with office hours, 6 a.m. Pacific time. New time and place. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Take care.